With this group, as you know, having an experienced structure in place really helps us avoid putting the team under too much pressure because this tour is all about keeping things positive. So far, scoring 70 points against Namibia in the first match was a strong start, and combined with our solid performance against South Africa, it definitely marks this as a very positive and promising tour for our team. We set clear goals from the very beginning and have worked extremely hard every single day with real dedication to meet them successfully, to keep building a team that's organized, balanced, and strong across all areas while adapting and improving with each game we play. Like you mentioned earlier, for instance, starting Mirko Belloni, not just by bringing him off the bench, but actually from the very beginning, because honestly, he's come here to really demonstrate a bit more of what we've been seeing in training sessions. It's quite interesting to watch. This, in part, also addresses Giovanni Montemauri's situation, who's definitely the only player not making his debut this time around. Apart from him, the rest continue on in this manner because last Thursday at 11 p.m. we made 3 substitutions between the lines, adjusting our formation and tactics to optimize team performance for these crucial games ahead. Thursday and Saturday we had some changes to make, but once we saw this match as a great chance for Mirko to step up and show his skills, we planned accordingly, moving Chichi and Trulli to wing. It was already a team where making too many changes around this could disrupt the squad a bit too much, so we wanted to keep things stable and ensure everyone was comfortable with their roles on the field. We decided to keep Jacques Daré as a starter because he played an excellent game and showed great potential. The team really benefits from him in this role, and we believe that keeping this consistency will strengthen our overall performance moving forward. Remember the Namibia game? I was impressed how he and Giovanni Montemori slowly figured out the team's style and took control. They adapted smartly, showing great leadership and understanding throughout the match. It wasn't South Africa up front. We had a solid 5-3 setup with a balanced bench, giving great depth in forwards and backs, which prepared us well for the challenges ahead. It's definitely true that without key players like Leo Marini, especially when you don't have someone like Tommy Allen or Paolo Garbisi, who are versatile and can perfectly cover both roles in the team, it changes the dynamics quite a bit and can really impact the game's flow and strategy. The 6-2 setup poses a big risk. We had 2 choices, either just 5 forwards on the bench against the Springboks, which is quite thin, or the 6-2 setup, knowing some backup spots wouldn't be fully covered. After careful discussion, we felt the bigger risk was having only 5 forwards against such a strong team. We then talked further with the coaching staff, considering all views before settling on our final approach. Among us and some of the players, we thoughtfully decided to give Giovanni Montemauri his debut, letting him cover the important number 10 spot. When you take a close look at the lineup, Belloni is flexible and can switch to center seamlessly, but Jaltare simply can't, and neither can Varney actually. Controlling midfield is key for us, especially against strong players like Esther Oizini and Moody, who always push hard there. It was impossible to leave that position uncovered, so we chose Giulio, who does the center job really well, and Ale Garbisi. If the game has to be decided at 10, they'll cover that spot. It was tough for Giovanni. As he said, maybe he didn't expect this, and I think even you were surprised, wasn't it you, Alessandro? Giovanni Montemauri's inclusion caught us off guard too. We follow him closely, even if he hasn't played much with Zebri, because we've always believed in his potential. It's a big step for him, and we're excited to see how he performs. Thanks. They really wanted to see him in action, and he also put in a fantastic tour. You know how it goes. A few years back, Jack Dara went through an entire World Cup without getting any play time. Similarly, Davido Diaz didn't get to play on the last tour either, but we all know him well. We're patiently waiting for him, and eventually the right opportunity will definitely come along. Okay. Thanks. Go ahead, Francesco Palma.
Good morning, Gonzalo. A very specific question about Mirko Belloni, considering that there were quite a few other options available, especially since Gezi and Odogu ended up being left out. What was it that really convinced you to go with Mirko as a starter against South Africa? Given he has no international experience, hasn't played with any franchises, what made you trust him enough to put him out there at such a high level in this match?
Yeah, listen. In this team setup, I really feel that he's surrounded by a lot of experienced players, which should help him a lot out there. First of all, it's a line where you start with some older guys who have quite a bit of experience over the past few years, and that really helps to steady the whole team. One of the main reasons is that we're once again facing the world's #1 ranked football team, which is always a huge challenge for any team. The team usually kicks the ball from position 9 to 10 in this tactic, making it one of the most common plays we see during matches. So there's a ton of aerial play going on with plenty of aerial contest happening throughout the match, really high up in the air. The options we had included Simo Gessi or Paolo Dogu. Simo Gessi played 2 matches recently, performing quite well under pressure. He did well, playing 2 solid games consecutively, but for us, it was definitely time to start exploring some other options. Giacitrula, although mostly reliable, did have a few small mistakes here and there that we had to consider. As fullback last week, we don't know. His speed and his aerial game really stand out as 2 of his main strengths, and these are qualities we can definitely rely on when we're out on the field during matches. These choices took a lot of time. Paulo Dogu is usually in great form and impressive, but today he's not quite at his best, which is unusual for such a big match. 100%. Remember, he injured his hamstring late in the season, and although we brought him out to play against Namibia, by halftime he was already struggling quite a bit, suffering from cramps because he wasn't fully recovered or in top condition. 100% ready to do more. We decided on a 6-2 formation, and given all those reasons, we believed it would be the best approach. What we're seeing now is that Mirko, even though he hasn't played with the starters before, is showing great promise and fitting in remarkably well. When training with the team, you honestly can't tell if he's ever actually played with Saracens before or not. He blends in so well. What truly matters is what he shows in practice and then brings to the game. Take Davido Diaz. He joined last week, barely played in France's 2nd division, but came prepared in training and performed solidly when given his chance. Those moments make a real difference for us moving forward. And then Paolo Catelli.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Gonzalo. I've got a slightly different question. As a coach, when you had to send Nicotera home, who initially started as the captain but unfortunately got injured and had to leave the game early, I gathered from your earlier response that you understood the situation and expected it, but I'm curious, how do you personally handle something like that emotionally? It must be tough balancing the team's morale and your own feelings when a key player has to step out so abruptly.
Yes, it was tough for everyone. The first thing we did was give him the space to decide whether he wanted to stay committed with the team or go home to recover. We wanted to respect his feelings and let him make that choice. He's straightforward. I gave him a full day to think it over and answer me directly. He said no. He's committed to staying with the team until the very last day. The next day, we had breakfast together, shared a coffee, and talked about everything. We talked it over thoroughly. He took some time to think about it, and then he finally said, "The mule, he plays like Michele Lamaro, Federico Ruzza, Nacho Brex, Paolo Garbici, just like them. This group has lots of experience playing for their clubs, especially in France and Italy, so they've seen a lot on the field. For the national team, Giacomo was a player we could have managed differently. Maybe Gianma Lucchesi would have been an option, or one of them might not have come. In the end, we asked Giacomo to join because the tour was important. Once it was clear he couldn't play, it was better for him to rest, go home, take a break from rugby, and start recovery early. Even without playing, staying here keeps your mind with the team and prep, adding stress. So it was best for him to step away, clear his head, and regenerate before the next phase. Your mind stays constantly with the national team, the game preparation, one more week of stress and tension building up. It's probably better for him and the team to say, okay, unfortunately you can't play this time, but instead of dragging your season out another extra week, it's best to let him rest, recover properly, and focus on his health. He can take a break, recharge, and relax, because in about 3 weeks, Stade Français will have him back on the field. For his recovery and well-being, we decided it was best he goes home to rest in a familiar place.
Thanks. That was quite an unexpected question. Really interesting. I appreciate you asking that. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Beretta. You're welcome, Paolo.
Good morning, Gonzalo. You faced challenges with injuries to key players like Giacomo, but despite that, have you seen just how deep and strong your squad really is? You still have many starters available in the back row because you called up promising players like Odiaz, Ise, and Kor, who stepped up when it mattered most. So this tough period has given you a real chance to test your team's depth and see its resilience and talent firsthand.
Absolutely. That was one of the main goals, especially since this tour was so important. With all due respect to Namibia, who are a very competitive team, after 2 tough matches against strong rivals like them, we really wanted to test the squad's depth and see how well the newer players could handle the pressure. Ranked 20th in the world. Even those who might be close to the level, it's hard to really know for sure. Today, when you find yourself in South Africa facing these tough Springboks, those who are at least up to the level, you can say, okay, we can count on them because they show it. We can't find a tougher challenge than these teams. So we're building our squad carefully, line by line. Some spots are set in the 2 lineups, especially with Nicotera and Lucchesi playing so much recently, which affects rotation. We also have flexible options like Bartolomeo and Vince, who can step in well. And Mombo Asa has done great on the right side, adding depth and tactical variety. Ricardo Fabretto showed he could perform at this level as well, demonstrating solid skills and resilience. But as Corey rightly mentioned earlier, we already expected that from him. Now, talking about David, who possesses a deep and thorough understanding of the game, not just from a technical standpoint, but also a strategic perspective, he still has so much potential to develop and grow, even more than we initially thought. But as we already knew, when it comes to the physicality and contact during play, he is completely ready to face the challenge. Of course, Jacques Lau's presence is essential here. It's incredibly reassuring to have an additional number 10 who can perform at this high level whenever we need it. And the fact that Mirko is now able to legitimately claim a starting spot is truly fantastic news for us all, showing real progress and depth in the team. I would have liked to see a bit more of Leo Marina too. Marco Zanon, as some of you might remember, was actually the captain before the last test match. He hadn't played for over 20 weeks, so it's been really fascinating and quite impressive to see him return and perform at such a high level again. It's definitely true that Marco is still a genuine option for the national team going forward, so all these insights are exactly what we came to explore and understand better. Like you mentioned earlier, I always say the same thing. In every crisis, there's an opportunity. We've used every little crisis we've encountered as a chance to give new players an opportunity to prove themselves and grow within the team. We've used every little crisis we've had along the way as a way to give a new player a real chance to show their talent and make an impact on the team. Any other questions from Italy?
Yes. Antonio, I wanted to ask Gonzalo, hi, first of all. Lorenzo Cannone was absolutely key in the first test match, even though he showed some moments of being a bit undisciplined. His role was crucial, especially in slowing the ball down effectively at the ruck, which really helped the team's defensive efforts. Now, in this lineup where he is unavailable, I want to understand if there are specific players who are stepping up to take on that important role of slowing down the ball, or is it more of a shared responsibility across the team? How is the team adjusting their strategy to compensate for his absence in that particular aspect?
Lorenzo, yes. When I explained exactly why, after Ross Vincent's absolutely great game against Namibia, I decided to start Lorenzo Cannone in the match against South Africa. I highlighted his key strengths and what he brings to the team. I said that for a match like the one coming up, you really need the kind of contact ability Canone has, especially to hold the ball under pressure and keep the play moving smoothly. In those first few minutes and throughout the first half, space is limited and collisions frequent. His skill in handling these intense moments is exceptional. Having him on the field shifts the game and gives the team a strong advantage. Tuzu, Manuel, Giuliani together. A direct physical attack relies on quick ball movement and constant pressure to keep their style. It gets tricky when a key player meant to lead the attack is out of sync or out of position. Then the whole flow changes, making it hard to control the game and take chances before the defense resets. We usually identify a specific group of defensive leaders for each match, especially those key players who hold the defensive line firmly and make sure the team stays organized at the back throughout the game. We do this intentionally so players don't all chase the ball. That can tire out defenders and weaken the defense. We need those players focused on their defensive positions, not moving too far forward into this area. Lorenzo is usually a key player, but this time someone else will likely start in his spot due to the team's strategy. It'll definitely be Roski. He does it quite well. Even on the bench, Pablo Linchev has shown that this is one of his strengths. Although we lose Roski off the bench, we still have a player like Pablo Linchev who can really step up and make a difference. Having these kinds of players available is absolutely crucial if we want to slow down the South Africans and remain competitive throughout the match. These profiles really give us options and flexibility in defense, which can be a game changer over the course of the game. I'll hand over to Carlo Del Fava, or possibly Julius Intarticani as well. So we're all set and ready to take any questions in English from Carlo or Julia whenever you're ready. Steve, Angus, and Stephen. Hi guys, good afternoon everyone. Hi coach.
On one hand, I'm obviously trying to work very closely with the media and make sure to answer all their questions thoroughly and as clearly as possible. It's not quite familiar yet, but this is just a quick message from us for you all.